Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. It is Ashley Janae, love and dating and relationship coach for women. And I'm live inside of my Facebook group, the Ladies Lounge. And today I want to talk about the now infamous interview that Simone Biles' husband gave recently, and just discuss a little bit about why what he said was really problematic and how it reflects the attitude of a lot of men who treat women poorly. So if you haven't seen the interview, I suggest checking YouTube or TikTok. You'll probably see it there. And what happened was he was interviewed and she was with him, and he was asked by the interviewer, so how did you pull the Simone Biles? So the first thing I want to point out is that this interviewer was basically pitching him the ball. This interviewer was setting it up for him to speak highly about his ability to woo his wife and win her. So he was already coming from a place of, okay, Simone is legendary. Simone is a big name. She's famous. She's, elevated status. So how did you get her? What will happen when a man is with a woman who's a bigger name than he is, a woman who is more respected within the community or in society than he is? If his woman is higher status and he's in a room of people who may not respect what he does, but they respect what she does. Because notice, they didn't say, Simone, how did you pull this awesome guy? How did you pull this star football player, this NFL guy, this Casanova, this super handsome guy? They didn't ask her that. They asked him, how did you get her? So that right there is kind of like a subconscious dig, because it's like, well, we need to know, how did you get on the level of getting a woman like her? But what I will tell you about the dating and relationship world is, for men who have money already, they are looking primarily at how you look, how you make them feel, and not your accomplishments. So he goes on to say, when the interviewer asked him that question, well, it's really, how did she pull me? So what he's saying is, she did the work to get him. He feels like he didn't have to pull her. She came to him. And then he goes on to explain that she's the one who went in his DMs. She messaged him first. She was liking his pictures, and the way he describes it was, he just kind of swiped, yes on her, for them to be a match, just to see what was up. So pause right there. That tells you he wasn't really interested in her like that. Because would you ever hear a man speak about a woman he was really into in that way? Would he ever say something like, well, I was just, trying to see what's up? Especially a woman that he's now married to and now loves and thinks highly of. Probably not. So that's an indication that he was kind of cool on her. And the thing is, the interviewer picked up on that as well. And he brought it up a little later in the interview. So he goes on to explain the story and say how she messaged him. She ended up driving to him. And this is why I say, I do not recommend pursuing men. And there are going to be all kinds of women who say, I messaged my husband first, I initiated, and it worked out. And that's great. That's fine for you. But what I'm saying for most women is, it's a position that puts them in a masculine type of energy. You end up having to court the man. You end up having to try to impress him. You end up doing a lot of the legwork that normally the man would do. And in her case, it's even more inverted because she's technically in society like a higher status than he is. Her name is more known, more respected. The fact that people call him Simone Biles' husband and not his name will tell you that. And I'm sure as a man that doesn't feel good for him, because he's in the NFL. He's accomplished great things that, most people will never do in his own regard. But the fact that he's with a woman who's more famous than he is means that he is kind of living in her shadow. That a lot of us only know him because of his affiliation with her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a household name. So for a man who's like macho and wants to be masculine, wants that respect and that recognition, that can feel really emasculating, and that can make a man angry. And when a man gets angry like that, he can get very passive aggressive. So in his mind, he believes that he is the prize. And that's what he said. He said to the interviewer, "She pulled me." And then the interviewer asked him, "So you believe, like you're the prize?" And then he said, "Yeah, I believe that the man's always the prize." We're not going to get into the semantics of, is the man a prize if he's, a great husband or, someone who's good to be with, a great partner. What we're going to get into is the mentality of him saying that. So this man is boosting up your wife. He's interviewing you, wanting to talk to you about how you got her, how you wooed her. Most men would go into a story of how he romanced her, how he wooed her, how he courted her, how he won her over. But her husband didn't do that because he didn't have to. He didn't have to win her over because she pursued him. She messaged him first. She drove to him. She, I'm willing to bet, was the one who really pushed things forward when it came to their relationship. Because he said with his own words that he was fighting it, that he was resisting, that he was in his third year, I guess in college or something like that, and he didn't want to really commit. So that tells you that she is the one who's advancing the relationship, and that is the role of the man. When the woman does that, you will never really know how the man feels about you because it's the man who leads that. What the woman does is be an invitation. What the woman does is be open and be warm and be receptive and bring her light and her radiance to the situation. But it's not her job to make it happen. It's his job to make it happen. She took it upon herself because she saw something she liked. She saw who she wanted. And she was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. And that's fine if you do that. But just be aware that in anything in life, if you're pursuing it, then you're making the thing you're pursuing the prize. If I'm pursuing a degree, if I'm pursuing a job, if I'm pursuing getting a house or anything that you go after, it's because you have it on a pedestal and you want it. So she was pursuing him. He wasn't pursuing her. So she effectively made him the prize. Now, had they both liked each other and she waited to see if he messaged her, the dynamic would have been different because at least she would know that he was interested enough to reach out. She would know he at least was attracted enough to say, hey, let's talk, let's see what's up, versus him responding to her reaching out. Most men will talk to almost anyone. Most men will go out with or sleep with or spend a little time with anyone. Okay, especially if it's going to be a boost to their ego, if they don't have nothing else going on, if another notch in their belt is just going to make them feel better about themselves, like, oh, I've pulled all these women want me, I feel good, I'm that dude. They're not going to turn down attention from women. And think of, even if he doesn't think super highly of her, he knows, because he mentioned seeing her follower count, he knows that a lot of people do. He knows that she holds status. He knows that she's seen in society as someone important. So think of what an ego boost that is for him to be pursued by her. That's just like if you or I were pursued by a celebrity. Even if we didn't feel like, oh, this celebrity is the most handsome man out there, the fact that he's in my inbox is an ego boost. The fact that he wants to talk to me or is pursuing me, it's going to blow your head up a little bit. So when he did see who Simone was, because he knew who Simone was before he replied to her. I know he did. we've already seen the screenshots and the receipts that he knew who Gabby, I forgot her last name, the other gymnast who was on the same Olympic team as Simone. So he knew who Simone was. Because I'm like, you're an athlete. He tried to act like, oh, I was in college and when she was in the Olympics and we didn't have that channel. If you watch ESPN, you know who your wife is. You know who Simone is. Okay? I don't watch gymnastics. I haven't had cable in years, but I know who Simone is. You have the internet. You know who Simone is. So stop with the playing the games. But why he did that is he wanted to act like they started on a neutral playing field. Like he wasn't impressed by her. Like he wasn't starstruck. Because in a way he wasn't. Because as soon as she messaged him first, he realized he had the upper hand in the situation. He had the leverage because she was coming after him. He wasn't going after her. So he didn't have to impress her. And that's why he didn't drive to her. She drove to him because she really wanted him. And all he had to do was, like the feminine, be open and receptive and say, okay, I'll accept your advances. Okay, I'll accept your like and your message and you liking my photos. I'll accept it. So she immediately put herself in the masculine position and him in the feminine position. And while some men will allow that, a part of them really doesn't like it. So they will rebel against it and they will resent the fact that they're in the feminine position with you at times, especially when it's visible to society. So the fact that he was asked that question, that Simone in the question was elevated above him, and they were asking him, how did you get her? He had to correct them and let them know, no, how does she get me? And what that's about is, you know, this may be hard to hear. This may be upsetting, but it's the truth. I believe that comes down to looks because it's not about status. She has a higher status than he does. She's more legendary or famous or well known, maybe even more respected. I mean, I won't even say maybe more respected in the world of sports than he is. But when you break it down just to a man and a woman, he's an NFL star. He's someone who could be considered agreeably handsome, agreeably attractive for a man. Obviously, he looked good enough for her to reach out. And he didn't reach out to her. And let's just be honest. You know, she's not someone who's known for being like a breathtaking beauty. She's not someone who is hailed for being the most gorgeous woman. And I'm not taking a shot at her at all. I'm not saying that she's not beautiful. She is. But what I'm saying is she's not known for that. She's known and respected for her athletic abilities. She's not known for her body. She's not known for being a baddie. She's not famous for that. There are some women who are famous for their good looks and maybe their talents, but she's more famous for her talents. So that's just the truth of the matter. And if you're in the Black community, and you can be honest that there's colorism, I mean, even outside of the Black community, there's colorism, and her features would not be considered to be the universal gold standard for attractiveness. Usually that's more Eurocentric. So the lighter skin, the longer, straighter hair, the more European features, so a smaller nose, the larger lips thing, you know, is kind of up for debate because now people are getting filler in their lips. But you get my point. It's more the European looking features that are glamorized, that are put on a pedestal. And obviously, she does not possess European looking features. And that's not shade on her. I know that there are plenty of men who find her gorgeous, beautiful, love the fact that she's more natural in terms of how she wears her hair, that she's athletic and fit. She's smaller in stature, and there are a lot of men who like a smaller woman. However, let's just be honest about the fact that he obviously thinks he looks better than her. And that's why he thinks he's surprised. Because why else? She seems to be a very sweet person, very kind. She initiated the whole thing, so we know that she's willing to go after what she wants. She's been very successful in her career. She's respected. What's wrong with her that he's the prize and not her. That's coming from him thinking that he looks better than her. And that's where men will come at you in the dating scene. Even if you're a woman who makes 6 figures, even if you're a woman who has your own house and this dude is sleeping on somebody's couch, if you pursue him and if you come off to be in any way, shape, or form desperate or putting him on a pedestal, he will feel like he's the prize, even if he has nothing to offer you. Because that's what your actions are telling him. Your actions are telling him, I'm going after you. So think about it. If she was high status, it's like, well, why are you going after some no-name NFL player? Oh, because you think he's fine. Oh, because you really want to get with him. Versus her going for a man who's higher status than her, higher net worth than her, a man that would be basically someone that she'd have to maybe work to impress. A man who could really get any woman that he wanted. She could potentially go after and try to get his attention, right? But for her, she saw this cute football guy. He is not as well known as her. And for a lot of women who are established, a lot of women who are successful, they find it easier to go for men who have a little less than them, but who look good, because they'll get kind of a trade-off. They're like, I'm good financially. I'm not really looking for anybody to take care of me. I already have a house. I already have a car. I already have everything I want material-wise. I'm looking for somebody who's good to look at, who makes me feel good about myself, and who's fun. So if he can be that, then he can have a chance. Most rich women who are rich on their own and like self-made, their standard is not to have a rich man. Their standard is, I want somebody who's going to be a companion, who's going to love me, who's going to, give me the other things that I haven't been able to give myself because I already have money. I already have status. I'm already in rooms that I'm getting myself into. He really can't do anything for her on paper. She already got it. She got it on her own. What is she? She doesn't need him for those things. What she needs him for is the fun, the looks, the companionship. That's primarily what she'd be looking for from him. But because she pursued him, he knows that she has him on a pedestal. Because she didn't wait for him to reach out. She didn't wait and let them match and then see if he sent a message. She took the initiative to go after him. So that told him everything in that instant, that she thinks he's the prize. She wants him, and that's still the mentality that he holds today. And why that's a problem is a man who thinks that he did you a favor by giving you a chance, often it will come out in the way he treats you, that that's how he views the situation. Now, I don't doubt that he loves her. And I don't doubt that after they went on their date, they clicked, everything's good. I mean, obviously he proposed to her. I don't think she proposed to him. At least that's not what we know. So he obviously has an interest in her. But the thing is, a man can be interested in you. He can make you his girlfriend. He can marry you, but he can still think he's better than you. And that mentality came out in that interview, that he thinks he is better than her. He thinks that she's lucky to have him versus the other way around, because he really don't care about her status like that. He's looking at her looks. He's looking at the fact that, yeah, maybe she could get a better looking guy than me, but it's because of her status, not because of her looks. She could get another guy. She has options. It's not that she doesn't have options, but she was interested in him. So that told him that he had the leverage. She could get somebody else. She could get a better looking guy, a worse looking guy. She could probably get a guy with more money. But the thing is, when you go after a man, you let him know that you're the one that's kind of pressed, and you almost make it seem as though you don't have options. Because would a woman with a bunch of options really be pressed and thirsty for a guy to the point of putting herself out, driving far, doing all the initiating, getting everything going. That's what a man who's determined to get a woman's attention does. So when you do that, it sends a message to the man that, okay, I'm kind of the one calling the shots here. And that dynamic tends to stick. Versus when you lean back, when you receive, when you allow a man to woo and court and impress you, then you're kind of calling the shots of, where are we going? How do I feel about you? Will I be exclusive or not with you? I mean, he really probably hasn't had to do much, but just show up and be fun to be with. She had already decided he was worth pursuing when she put herself out there. And I can see in the way that he answered these questions, in the way he spoke about her, in her presence on camera, that it's beyond having an elevated sense of self-worth. Because we all should have a sense of believing that we are worthy, believing that we are valuable, having a good opinion of ourselves. But the way the question was asked of him, he flipped it. And instead of using that moment to talk about how he got his wife of high regard, he said that she got him. He flipped it to, I'm the one that's of high regard. She wanted me. I didn't really want her like that. She's the one that made all this happen. I didn't have to woo or court her. I didn't have to impress her. I didn't have to pull her. She pulled me. So that tells you how he views her, how he views their relationship. And again, like I said, that can be very problematic, especially since they're married and he still holds that opinion of her enough to say it publicly. Okay? When a man does not view you as someone who he really wanted, he can tend to treat you like I said, like he did you a favor, like you're lucky that you got a chance with him. He can definitely kind of wield that power against you. And the thing is, it's so mind-blowing for a woman who is successful and respected and accomplished to, in her relationship, be treated like a nobody, to be treated like a groupie, or to be in the position of begging, chasing, trying to convince somebody to want her, to be with her, to give her a chance. It's very odd and very humbling because she is dominating in other areas of her life. But when you get with this man who feels like he looks better than you, who in the looks department could be considered out of your league, then you become the chaser. And this is one reason why I caution against going for these men who look super good. Because you have to be real. Okay, if a man looks super good, he could get any woman. If you think he looks good, other women do too. So you have to ask, if I look average and I get a super fine man, and he could be with a supermodel, he could be with a Kardashian, he could be with, a Halle Berry, or just someone who's like gorgeous, like a 10, but he's with an average woman, you have to ask, what everybody's thinking is, okay, so how did they match up? And what is he getting out of it? Because we know that men are very motivated by looks. We know that men are superficial in that regard. Not saying that it's bad or good. I'm just saying men care about looks. And if we know that a man is with a woman who's not super bomb, but he's bomb looks wise, and could probably get a woman who looks better, you have to wonder, especially if he got her at the peak of his success. It's not like they've been together since before he became somebody, before he looked how he looks, before he became famous, and it's a loyalty thing. If he got with her at the height of when he could have all those NFL groupies, all the women who are following him on social media and liking his stuff, why did you choose her? What made you go for her? And the thing is, guys act like, oh, well, we just clicked. A lot of people click. Clicking is not really that super rare. And the thing is, You can click with somebody and still disrespect them. You can click with somebody and still feel like they're beneath you. You can click with someone and still feel like, yeah, you're lucky and you better not cut up. I better get all of my needs met and you make sure that I'm happy, because remember, I did you a favor. I didn't really want you like that. You know, you wanted me. So if I'm going to be with you, I better be getting what I want out of the deal. You better make it sweet for me, because I could have, you know, this model. I could have this video girl. I'm going with you. But I need everything else to be on point. And again, that's that you're doing her a favor type of energy, versus a man who looks at her and says, wow, that's my dream woman. I want to do anything and everything I can to make her happy, make her life easier. I know she doesn't need me financially, but let me give her everything I can outside of that. Let me enrich her life. Let me make sure that she's not stressing, that she's not worried. Let me protect her. Let me be her manager. Let me be a shield between her and anybody who would bring stress or disharmony to her life. A man who sees you and wants to give to you, wants to make your life better because you're just special to him. It's a different kind of mentality. And it's very challenging to try to create that if it's not there. And I think what we saw in that interview is how he views their relationship, how he views her. And I believe I saw a picture of one of his exes and she looks nothing like her. And not to say that all your exes have to look alike. You can go for a different type, but I'm curious what his type is. I'm curious if what he likes typically is, I believe it looked like his ex was Caucasian. So I'm curious if he likes white women. I'm curious if he likes light-skinned women. I'm curious if he was to pick his ideal, if it looks anything like Simone. And if it doesn't, then that will tell you why he feels like he's the prize. Because obviously, she likes how he looks because she went for him first. And she was a pursuer. So obviously she's getting what she wants. The question is he getting what he wants, or is he just kind of going with the flow? Is he just getting with the program? And then what is he getting out of being with her? He's getting more notoriety. He's living probably a higher quality lifestyle than he would be living just on his own salary, because combined, the two of them will have a lot. And she also seems like a great person, but I've also seen her be very super devoted as a wife. So that's a benefit to a man as well. A woman who will run up behind you, root for you, bend over backwards to try to be that traditional wife, cook, clean, make him happy, give him all the intimacy that he wants, be his biggest cheerleader and biggest fan. Men appreciate that. Men don't want to turn that down because that feels good. I mean, it's a total ego boost, and it's what most men are looking for. But it still doesn't really change how he views her. Say if all of those things were to stop or go away. Say if she was to start slacking off on some of the things he feels like he needs. Where do his feelings for her stand at that point? What if as they grow and change, they're not vibing as much? Because we know that can happen when you're married to someone for a lifetime. You are going to change. You're going to be various different versions of yourself. So what happens then? What happens if they have kids and she gains weight and doesn't look, in a way that he's willing to kind of work with or tolerate? Will she then hear about how she pursued him and what his standards are and how she's not meeting them? It happens. It definitely happens. I've known a lot of women who put up with some crazy stuff from men because the men looked good, because they felt a sense of accomplishment in pursuing him and getting him. And they're accomplished women, so they go after what they want. They're go-getters. And the man was another accomplishment. The man was another goal. And she got him. And that feels good and it feels great. But why that can be problematic is if it's not mutual on the same level, then there's always one person who's going to be working a little harder, caring a little more. And when it's the woman, it can be very heartbreaking for her. Because we as a feminine are meant to be cherished. We as a feminine are meant to be courted and wooed and taken care of. And when we're not getting that, when we're the one doing it, it can really take the wind out of your sails. It can really do a number on your self-esteem. It can be very exhausting, tiring, disheartening, because that's not what we're meant to do. We can do it, of course, but is that our optimal state? Do we feel the most loved? Do we feel the most cherished and special and beautiful when we're having to chase after a man? Absolutely not. So again, I really advocate for women looking at the best of the men who like them versus the men who they like. Because men who you like may not like you back. And if you're able to convince him into entertaining you, being with you, or whatever, you will have to keep it up. You will have to keep pursuing him to keep his attention. And men who participate in those relationships don't hesitate to let you know, again, like I said, that they're doing you a favor, that they didn't really want you like that in the beginning, that, you know, if you don't straighten up, if you don't fix A, B, or C, they're good to go somewhere else and be with somebody else, because they don't feel like, oh, I got my dream girl. They look at it like, you know, you're lucky you got me. And you need to be scoring 10s across the board if you want to keep me, because I could get somebody finer than you. And I don't need the money. I have money. I'm in the NFL. I have enough money. And now that he's been connected to her, he also has his name out there more. So especially after this interview, people are going to be talking about him. So there's definitely men who have profited off of the women that they've been connected to, and rooms they've been able to get into that they previously were not able to get into, or parties they weren't invited to before. Access. They're able to benefit from the access that their connection to these high-powered women have afforded them. So you have to question too, what is he getting out of it? And why, after all this time, after years, even if initially he didn't feel like this twinge, like, oh, she's beautiful, I can't wait to talk to her, I hope I get her attention, I hope that she likes me. If he didn't feel any of that back then, why are you still talking about that now? Why years later, after you've already been with the woman in a committed relationship, proposed, and married her, why are you still talking about her as though, again, you did her a favor, or she's beneath you, or I really didn't want her like that? The fact that the host said that means that we were all thinking the same thing. This is not a think piece where we're projecting our own hurt onto Simone, where we are, you know, reaching. The interviewer thought the same thing. The interviewer said, oh, so you really didn't want her like that? And he shook his head and was just like, I'm going to just let you go on with your story, because he wasn't buying that he didn't know who she was when he first saw her on the app. So he's going out of his way to really make her smaller, make her importance less, and amplify himself and say, now she's really not the star of the relationship, it's me. I don't have her on a pedestal. I don't see her as, oh my gosh, this is Simone Biles, I can't believe I got a chance with Simone Biles. No. The way he sees it between the two of them is, she got a chance with me. I'm the one. And I mean, you can only imagine what kind of treatment that results in. And, you know, everybody's saying, oh, they're happy, they're happy. We don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. And also, you can be happy in one moment and unhappy in the next. Ask anybody who's been in a relationship. You can be cheesing in photos, cheesing in interviews. You can go and mix and mingle at events and then have horrible arguments, be being treated horribly behind closed doors, be being talked to crazy. And if you really like and love a man, sometimes you'll just take it. Sometimes you will explain it away or make excuses for how you're being treated. Sometimes you don't know any better. You've been treated crazy your whole life. Maybe your parents treated you crazy, or you're used to seeing dysfunction, so it's not abnormal to you, and you just kind of, make excuses for it. But we don't know what they are. All we know is what they've shown us and what he showed us in that interview. And it was very sad for me to see her I don't know if this is their first public interview, but this is the first one that I've heard of that's been obviously this big, where he's speaking of her in that regard. He had the opportunity to boost her up and also conversely boost himself up. But what he did was make her look like a fool, make himself look like a fool. He played her, made her look thirsty. I'm sure if she was attuned to the energy of that conversation of what he was saying, she had to feel embarrassed. And she may be downplaying it now. She may be defending him now, or she may not want to go there. But later, if things aren't so rosy, if things don't feel so good, I'm sure she'll think back on this and be like, wow, as people say, we're trying to humble me. And maybe he wasn't trying to humble her directly, but he was trying to let that interviewer know, oh, it ain't no, how did you get her? How did she get me? That's what you need to be asking. And think of the arrogance of that question. Why would a man feel the need to flip the script when it comes to his wife that he chose, that he proposed to and married? You want people to know that she had to work to get you? What's that about? Nothing good, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, that's one reason why I really advocate for not pursuing men. If a man's interested in you, he will ask for your number. He will come up to you, especially if your energy is open and inviting. That's the best thing you can do, is be smiling, be open, be available to be approached, and be receptive and warm when he does approach you. But if he doesn't, it's because he doesn't want to. And it could be a variety of reasons. Maybe he is married. Maybe he has a girlfriend. Maybe you're not his type. Okay? And if he has self-esteem issues, that's not your job to try and make it easier on him. If he is not confident enough to pursue you, then maybe that's not the one. Maybe that's not somebody you should be trying to get involved with. Because are you going to have to push him all the way in everything if he's not even confident enough to come up to you when you're looking open and inviting and ask your name, ask your number, and strike up a conversation with you? I encourage and teach the women that I coach to flirt, to, like I said, give that open and inviting energy, how to position themselves to be approached by the men that they're interested in, but it's still up to him to approach them. If you go out of your way, you're never going to know if he was just in the feminine position and responding to you and being open to you, or if he's truly interested. The man has to take the baton and run it. Okay? If he doesn't ask for your number, he doesn't come up to you, just assume he didn't want to. You don't need to know why. The why doesn't matter. He didn't want to. But don't let that hurt you, because there are men that do want to. There are men that are brave enough. There are men that are interested. There are men who are over the moon to have an opportunity to get to know you, to speak to you, to be in your presence. And those are the men you need to focus on, because those are the men who feel lucky and blessed and honored to have an opportunity to potentially be considered by you to be a mate. And they will act accordingly. If you really think about it, do you want a man who's indifferent about you, who could take or leave you, or who feels like, yeah, well, she was here, so I just went with it, versus a man who's like, this is my dream girl. Like, I'm so over the moon that I got her. Like, I feel so good. I can't wait to show her off. I can't wait to, make her my wife and make her mine officially. Like, he feels like he won the prize, Which one would make you feel better? For him to be indifferent, or for him to be like, wow, like, I'm super excited, I'm super happy and grateful, I feel blessed by God that I got her. That's how you want a man to talk about you. So I didn't want this to be super long. I don't know how long I've been on already, but I'm about to go and finish up my Christmas shopping. I hope you all are doing well. I do have some spots for coaching opening up in the new year. So if you're interested, I have a link on my website to apply to work with me. The website is femininelovecoach.com. Or you can message me if you're connected to me on social media. You can send me a DM and just let me know, your situation. Let me know what you're looking for, what your hopes are. I work with women who are like ambitious, successful, smart, educated, women who just can't quite figure out why they're not successful in relationships, why they keep dating losers, why they keep dating men who are emotionally unavailable or who don't want to commit, why they keep dating men who are not on the same level as them. So they have to overcompensate, whether it's financially, whether it is emotionally and carrying the relationship, whether they have to be the responsible one because he's irresponsible, clean his life up, fix his problems, mother him, all of that stuff. If you don't know why your life seems to keep going in that direction, why you just can't seem to meet a decent man, it's not that they're not out there. Don't believe that story, because if you really go with that, that will show you how disconnected you are from your role in your own reality. Because there are women getting married every day. There are women who are being taken care of. There are women who have loyal husbands. There are women who are happy. So if they can have it, why not you? If they're finding it, why not you? There are, I forgot the exact number, but I want to say it was like 6,000 weddings taking place a day. So I'm like, if that's the case, people are getting married out here. And, someone who wants to try to, again, stay in a victim mentality and believe that there are no good men out here will say, oh, well, a lot of those marriages aren't happy. That's beside the point. Of course, we want a happy marriage, but there's a lot that goes into that. And the main thing that goes into that is if two people want to make it a happy marriage, if two people do their own personal work and show up as their best self to the relationship, they treat each other with love and respect and kindness. If you want to know what love looks like, read the Bible. It tells you love is patient, love is kind. What is that called? Is that the fruits of the Spirit? No, that's not the fruits of the Spirit. Girl, don't give me the line. I think it's in 2 Corinthians, but I'll find out. But read the Bible. It will tell you exactly what love is supposed to look like. A lot of us haven't experienced love being that way. Love may have abused us. Love may have hurt us or abandoned us or made us work really hard just to get an ounce of it. Love may have embarrassed you, mistreated you, belittled you, came in and out of your life, been hurtful, betrayed you, and you think that that's what love is, but that's not what love is. That's what somebody did. That's what somebody's behavior, but that was not love. So when you learn what love really is and what it's supposed to look like, then you have a blueprint to compare how this person is treating you to know, is this really love? Sometimes we're in love with our own feelings or our own hope or wish for a situation and not the reality of what it really is. And two people could say they love each other, but love is an action word. Love is not just an idea. Love is something you choose and act upon daily. Love is an action. Love is a verb. So I really want to encourage women that if you want to take charge of your love life, if you do not want to go through another holiday season being by yourself and telling stories about why, or losing hope in love and relationships, period, not wanting to be a bridesmaid yet again, or go to someone else's wedding and feeling lonely or hopeless or like it's just never going to happen for you, or being stuck in that situationship that's not going anywhere, being stuck in that relationship that's not going anywhere, or thinking about that ex, or thinking about this man in your life that you just can't quite get on the same page with. You want more. He's not ready. He's dragging his feet. He's in and out of your life. Whatever the situation is, there is something that you can do. There absolutely is. And just like what you would do if you had a tax problem, or if you had a problem finding a job, if you had a problem with something breaking in your house or your car, you call a professional. You can do the same thing with your love life. You get a professional. You get someone who not only has the formal training, which I do, you get someone who has the lived experience, who's walked that path, who understands how you feel, understands your situation, will let you get it all out, will let you spill all your feelings and your hopes and your fears and tell every situation to. But at the end, it's not just going to be like, yeah, girl, you should leave him. Who's actually going to give you solutions, who's going to help you map out a blueprint for how to change your situation. And also shine a light on what's really going on here, because sometimes we have a distorted perception. We think it's one thing when it's another. We can't see past our own position. So this person would be like that third party shining a light on the entire situation, showing you what it is, presenting your choices to you, and then helping you achieve whatever your ultimate goal is, which I'm sure is to be in something healthy and long lasting and a beautiful, loving relationship where you feel great and having a great relationship with yourself too in the process, not being lost in the relationship, not feeling like you've had to compromise everything about yourself just to get love. So if that's something that calls to you, if that's something you feel like you desire in the new year, like I said, reach out to me. You can send me an email at ashley@femininelovecoach.com, or you can, like I said, apply on the website to work with me. Connect with me on social media. I do have a free Facebook group that you can join if you're on Facebook. It's at lovemeetslogic.com. And I also have a YouTube. This video will be on YouTube later. So shout out to everyone who's watching me on YouTube if you're seeing this there. Connect with me. Let me know if you have any questions. I would love to connect with you, speak with you, hear about your situation, see how I can help. And I'm wishing you all a blessed and joyous and beautiful holiday season, and 2024 as well, if I don't speak to you again before the new year. All right. Much love to you all. Take care. God bless, and bye for now.